Hey guys, Dr. Carey here. If you are thinking about getting back to running and you have no idea where to start, I don't care if you're newly postpartum, a couple years postpartum, maybe you're diving headfirst into perimenopause and never got started. A great place to start is a return to run readiness screen where you check out your tolerance to impact, check out your strength, check out your balance, and see if you've got some gaps that might need filling in before you get started on that walk run program. There's a link for the free screen in the show notes. Check it out and enjoy the show.
You're listening to the Active Mom Podcast with host Dr. Carey Pagliano. I'm a mom, physical therapist, and your go-to guide for staying active with pelvic health issues in pregnancy, postpartum, perimenopause, and beyond. Whether you're a fellow mom, physical therapist, or women's health professional, join me where I'll share expert insights, real-life stories, and the latest research to help you approach running, CrossFit, yoga, Pilates, HIIT, or whatever activity you love with confidence and evidence-informed guidance. Let's start the show. All right, welcome back to the Active Mom Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Carey Pagliano. And our next guest, I'm hoping, is the beginning of maybe a new series where we chat with some of the amazing women that we have here in the DC metro area. And our next guest, I found because she has a new podcast, and we're going to chat about that. We have a local phenom, Mike Wardian, who's an ultrarunner and does crazy things like run across America looking like Forrest Gump and things like that. And he started a podcast with our next guest. And so I did a little Google stalking and found out kind of what a badass athlete she is and has a really cool story. So I invited her to join us and chat about that a little bit. So Hilary Cairns, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and then we'll dive into some get to know you questions.
Okay, well, who am I? Where am I from? I'm from Minnesota, but my name is Hilary Cairns, which you already said. I'm originally from Minnesota, but I've lived in DC for 33 years, so literally in DC. So sometimes people say they're from DC, but then come to find out they're not. But I live in the city and have lived here for more than 30 years. So I came here shortly after college. I've worked for city government for a really long time. I have 3 children, and I compete in a couple different sports. Started as a tennis player in high school and in college, and then picked up track and have done a lot of running races, road races, all the way up to a marathon, though not my favorite distance, and then switched to triathlon. And so I'm kind of doing those two still. And then I also am racing Hyrox, which I am thinking we'll talk a little bit about what Hyrox is, but that's kind of my current, it's not my focus because I'm actually focused on all three things right now. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
I love that you're like, nope, kids are out of the house. I am focusing on me and we're trying something new. Hyrox. I love this. I love this. So I'm going to make you choose. I want you to give me order of preference, Hyrox, triathlon, or running.
In terms of what I like the most,
Yeah.
I probably like Hyrox the most right now just because it's new and I've been racing for such a long time. I mean, really, I've been racing in the DC area since I got here in 1993. So I know a lot of people that are still out, still doing the racing scene in DC, and I can go all the way back to when it was really just like DC Roadrunners. That was all there was, and maybe Montgomery County and Nova. But now there are so many different running groups. So I've been doing that for a very long time, and then I've raced triathlon for 20 years. And I still like both of those, and I still train very much like a runner and a triathlete. But I did get a little bored, or just was like, I need something to just keep me really interested in the training, and came across Hyrox, and it's been a challenge for me. I quote look like a runner. I'm quite small. So the weight part was pretty intimidating for me.
Yeah.
Though I've always lifted, so it wasn't completely out of the possibility for me, but switching to kind of heavier weights. And then I've raced in both the lightweight, and then there's also what's called the pro weights, which are quite heavy for me, but I've done both of them, and I've managed. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's the wall balls that kill me. I'm like, I would just get too bored and I would get really angry at the person yelling at me to say no rep. So that's where I'm
Okay.
like, no, I'm good.
Okay. The wall balls are hard.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe by the end you'll convert me. I don't know.
Okay.
What is a workout you dread but never skip?
Well, I think probably the fact that I don't really dread any of the workouts might indicate that I'm not doing the one that I probably should
Ah,
do that I don't skip.
uh-oh.
That's what I tell other people. So when I do coach some people and I lead a track workout, which I've led for a really long time, and my feeling is that the workouts that you most dread are probably the ones that you need to do, or
Yeah.
would help you the most. So I guess I either skip them all or I just don't dread any of them. I
Okay.
probably, if I had to pick one, I would say it's the short track workouts.
Yep.
So say 200 or 400 workouts. I get to plan the workouts for our group, so I don't schedule them very often. I probably should. This is a good reminder that,
Okay.
yeah,
Little therapy here.
yes, yeah.
Do as I say, not as I do. I like
Exactly.
that.
In so many ways, not just the workouts, but probably a lot of other
Yeah.
parts of life too.
Yeah. No, it's the cruel thing back, like we did this in high school track. I always did the distance stuff, and our coach, I went to two high schools, but they would always throw us occasionally in like a 400 or 200. And a 400, you think your legs are going to fall off. You
Yeah.
literally are like, I'm still moving, but my legs are back
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I can relate. I like that.
Yeah.
All right, what is your go-to training fuel right now?
Well, I'm actually trying a whole bunch of different things. Literally, I think I have 10 different kinds of gel
Mm-hmm.
in our house right now, and I'm testing them all out. The one that I'm ending up going to, which I used in Cherry Blossom last weekend, and I'm planning to use it in my next triathlon, is very old school, like powered gel. I really
Oh,
think it's one of the ones that we had when gels first came out. So it's a
yeah.
green apple, caffeinated, very
Okay.
liquidy gel.
How many carbs?
That I don't know. Yeah, that's not really my thing. I don't
You
really know the
like,
different, yeah. I don't know. It's full of carbs, could be 20, could be 40.
all the
I don't know.
carbs, got it.
Yeah.
Do we know how much caffeine or no?
I think it says 50 milligrams.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I don't have caffeine regularly. I don't drink
Okay.
coffee or tea or anything, so kind of any caffeine probably is gonna work for me. Work in the sense
Yeah.
of rev me up.
Yep.
So I
Yeah.
wouldn't go
No.
with the much higher that. I think it would make me shaky.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Yeah, I was about like the Cliff Gels, like old school kind of stuff, and then they stopped
They
making
stopped
them,
making
and then
them. I know.
yeah,
I
and
did
then I
like
can't chew
those.
when I run. I'm like I'm gonna choke, and so
Yeah.
I've been on a mission to try and find stuff, and I've settled into Huma a little bit. It's okay, but like
Okay.
the texture is a little funky.
Yeah.
But I feel like with companies like the Feed and things like that, where you can get like the grab bags or like
Yeah.
David Roach's like high carb. I'm like, all right, I'll try that, see how it
Yeah.
goes.
This morning I
Okay.
had Enervit, which was very
Okay.
tasty. A mango
Ooh,
one. It's
I've
yum.
heard that that one's good.
It's
Yeah.
good.
Okay. Okay. We'll come here for your next gel tips, I guess. And then what's your like regular like your favorite workout snack that's like actual food?
Well, I don't tend to eat regular food when I'm working out. Is
How
that what
about
you mean?
afterwards? Like no, like post-workout snack.
Oh, post-workout snack. I mean, chocolate milk for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I have trouble eating right afterwards. So, but I usually do try to force something down. And then depending on how long the workout is. I mean, this weekend I did two really long efforts, and I was so sick of anything sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yep.
I don't it doesn't really matter what it is, but like rice with a bunch of cheese on it, just like very salty, salty things.
Yeah. No, you definitely like the sweet stuff, and that's where a lot of gels go. You're like, oh no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Um, because you've been in DC so long, what is your favorite place to run? Because there's so many good places here.
There are. So I live by the National Cathedral, which for those of you who know the area, this you'll understand, but if you don't, it's basically a very high point in DC. So pretty much anywhere that I run from here involves going down, and so I'm
Yep.
ending all of my runs running up a hill. So I'm actually a little bit worn out from my runs. I also don't do a lot. of regular running. I know that sounds odd, but I have a track workout and then my second run is often also on the track. So it's really
Hmm.
just my long run that involves exploration. And so I do love running in Rock Creek Park. It just means that the end of my run involves running up Tilden, which is a very long,
Oh yeah.
really, really
Yeah.
challenging hill. Yeah.
Yeah. No, my first job in DC, I lived in Van Ness and worked over at National Rehab Hospital, which is over by the cathedral. And Yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's just yeah, people don't realize how many hills there are in DC, and because everything goes down to the river. I'm in Arlington at kind of at the top of a hill. Everything goes down, and when you come home, you got to come back up, which is
Yeah.
really not okay. What's your go-to track? Where does your track club meet?
We meet at Banneker track, which
Hmm.
is one of the very few, if not the only track in DC that's always open. So there's no lock to it. It's right across the street from Howard University. Um, yeah, so that's the go-to. It's a square track. That's what it's known for. So it's not it's the right distance. It's just an odd shape. So it's kind of
You just got to
four
turn
corner
left,
track.
left, left. Do you go
Yeah,
around both ways, or you just go? Is it one of those tracks where you switch the direction depending on the day?
it's just one direction.
Okay.
Occasionally we'll mix things up and go the other way, though it's been a while since I've
Okay.
done that. Yeah.
Yeah, I am still, 30 years later, have PTSD from track, so I don't do track workouts. But
Okay.
like I hear that there's tracks around here that will do, depending on the day or the time of day, they'll change directions to me, which is so strange because you can really only go once if you've done track before. But
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe I'm just not flexible mentally. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
I didn't run track growing up, so I think I have less PTSD than others.
Okay,
So,
that's good. That's good. I'll try and do, track workouts, just not on the physical track.
yeah.
That's my own therapy I've got to work through. Okay, best thing before we get into kind of your story, what's the best thing about training at this stage of life that your 30-year-old self did not have?
I mean, I have so many more life experiences. I mean, having raised and still raising three children, I still think of them as kids, but they're ages 21 and over, so they're really, really adults. I just have a lot more perspective. I mean, where a bad race would have bummed me out a lot as a 30-year-old. I did have one child at age 30, but uh, it just doesn't impact me in the same way. And there's a lot more just thankfulness, like appreciation that my body
Yeah.
has let me do this for so long. Yeah, I don't go as fast. I'm trying, but I do work as hard. And so even if the numbers don't say the exact same thing, I still can step back and say, it's pretty great. I put my body through a lot, some good, some harmful, and the fact that it's still letting me do all of that,
Yeah.
I feel pretty fortunate.
And you're being incredibly humble, by the way. Like what did Cherry Blossom was what, 2 weeks ago? What was your time for Cherry Blossom?
This year I ran 107.53.
Hmm.
So like
Hmm.
6:48 pace, which was
Yeah,
I
you're
was
not
happy about
slow.
that.
Yeah, you're not slow at all.
Not slow,
Not even
just
close.
okay, just slower than I used to be.
It's all perspective. It's
Yes.
all perspective. So you talk about your kids, like you mentioned in kind of the information you sent over that, your kids now 20 some odd years old, you were running early postpartum. So this is, early 2000s and so on. If I think back, so I finished PT school in 99. I moved to DC in 2001. Started working in pelvic health, and I'm thinking about the advice that we had to give moms returning to exercise, much less running, and having it be acceptable in early postpartum. We didn't have that information, and I don't know, unless you were in like a running group, if it was necessarily like generally accepted. Share us kind of your perspective. Kind of, you were running before pregnancies, running after pregnancies. What was that like? And how did you figure out how to do it?
Okay, so I should have prefaced all this by saying I don't have a great memory, period. So, like, for me to reflect back 30, or not 30 years, my eldest is 26. So, to reflect back there's a little bit of, take it with a grain of salt. I might be
All allowed.
improvising some
Yeah.
of this. I just, there was not information out there. And any information that was there was still pretty very cautious about running during pregnancy, very much like 6 weeks is the mark. And I don't know, maybe that's the advice still. There was a heart rate number. I thought it was 120. We interviewed a woman around my age for our podcast, and she thought her doctor had given her 140. It led to a lot of fear. It led to me feeling
Yeah.
like I was disobeying, which didn't stop me. Let me just say this. I don't tend to really follow doctors' suggestions. So I was going to do what I wanted to do, but I didn't feel great about it. I felt like, if anything were to happen while I'm pregnant, I'm going to be blaming myself. So yeah, I don't remember there being people, saying, "What are you doing out running?" Because I did run all through each of my pregnancies, though I had a little bit of an injury, I think, with my first pregnancy where my groin started hurting. I mean, so there was, I think, misinformation back then. And
Yeah.
then afterwards, there was sort of a 6 week mark. I never did that. I was fortunate not to have any C-sections, so I just went based on how I was feeling, which kind of entailed like pretty much starting up right after the birth. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, and I always felt stronger coming back, partially because you're running with, like a bowling ball in your stomach. So you got all that weight is all of a sudden gone. And I just felt really strong after each of the pregnancies and was able to run pretty quickly after.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting where you're saying physically I felt pretty good pregnancy and postpartum. It was the guilt that people were telling me that I shouldn't be doing this or this might, do something bad. I mean, that I feel like that says a lot. And, my kids are 15 and 12. Um, the same advice kind of was carrying through and really only started to change, I would say, in the last, gosh, maybe 4, 5, 6 years, where we have evidence of, gosh, this week at Boston, I can't remember. She's like a UK runner, and I think she's run maybe her second or third marathon pregnant now. Um, like there's some really amazing pregnant and postpartum women doing these are really amazing things. And we're having more research than ever the last couple of years saying, gosh, it's totally fine to do this. It's fine for mom and baby to do weightlifting, exercise on
Yeah.
your back, run, do ultras, all of this stuff. Like, um, and I think being in my position, I can see that progression and, it would seem validating for you, but also I feel really bad that people made you feel that way when, 26 years later, we're like, yeah, actually what you did was just fine.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, hearing kind of these updates, how does that make you feel right now?
I mean, I'm very happy for people who are experiencing pregnancy and motherhood right now because I think there's a positive attitude around it. There's support for continuing athletic endeavors. I mean, I didn't race when I was pregnant. I mean, partially because I was very worried about the heart rate and thinking I was getting it
Yeah.
up too high. So I did cut back. I probably would be racing now if I were pregnant at this point. But I
Yeah.
think, for me, I think it was okay what I ended up doing, but it was more probably the mental toll part of it that I would
Yeah.
have liked to have not had. I mean, I was super sick for each of the beginnings of the pregnancies, so I wouldn't have felt like
Hmm.
doing. I mean, that was very hard to
Oh,
to get through. Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I love it that women are racing, and I cannot imagine running a marathon being pregnant, especially first trimester. I just felt so sick, but it's great.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And most of the stories that I'm hearing that people, number one, I love that people are sharing these stories. Number two, I love that it's becoming kind of more quote normal, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I don't think anybody's unless what was it? Oh gosh, I'm blanking on her name. She just went through the gel company dropped her. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, you know who I'm talking about. Like she
Yes.
ran like Valencia and she was like 6 weeks pregnant and she didn't even know it and she had like a really
Yeah.
good race, that sort of thing. See, my brain doesn't work either.
Yeah.
It's one of the Emmas.
Emma
Yeah.
Bates.
Emma Bates, thank you. Between the two of us, we'll get it. Yeah, and she, she's like, I feel a little bit off, couldn't keep my gels down, and because she was pregnant. I'm like, dang,
Yeah.
girl, like clearly that's right before all the nausea kicks in. But No, it's really cool to hear these stories of these women kind of doing this. And plus the woman who ran Boston, her outfit, she had like a cute little suit on, um, to make room for the bump and so on.
Oh,
I'm like
okay.
I'm like, all right, that I don't know if I could rock it, but definitely cute.
Well, and I like
If we,
the postpartum stuff too. Like
yeah,
I feel like there was misinformation. Not I mean, because I breastfed all three of my kids
hmm,
for extensive periods of time afterwards.
yeah,
I did get a stress fracture after my second, and
okay,
I feel like now I would know that I probably needed to eat differently after being
yeah,
pregnant and then going back to intense training and nursing at the same time. I probably would have been more careful around that aspect. So I appreciate that that
yeah.
information is there too.
Yeah, again going back to that. I'm also thinking about kind of parallel in the running community. We were not talking about fueling the way we're talking
Yeah,
about now, and I don't think we had nearly the gel options. Like my first Marine Corps was in 2004, and I remember bringing something with me to chew, like a bar or something. Like,
I
no,
had
like that's
pretzels.
not going to go. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I had
that might
pretzels
have been a
during my
better
first
idea.
marathon.
Yeah, I mean, how many pretzels did you eat?
I don't know,
Like,
definitely not enough. I'm sure that we were
yeah.
way under fueling. I mean, my mom ran marathons in the 1970s, and
Wow.
she always told me like, don't drink when you run. Like it was just totally different. I don't think she
Yeah,
had any calories during it, and maybe some water.
right. Well, I think that's the thing that just kind of comes along with all these conversations is, you mentioned, you have been doing some strength training for a long time and how that's fitting into Hyrox. I think even just, I don't even know that that was regular and common that you would do anything other than just run. So I feel like fueling, strength training, all that kind of stuff wasn't even really kind of in vogue or, updated or, things like that. If you think back on that time, were you doing much strength training?
Not really. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just sort of some body weight stuff. Like I always have done like a lot of push-ups and
Yeah.
pull-ups. Yeah, I lifted some, but it wasn't heavy, really heavy. It
Hmm.
was more just a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
And I don't know that
Yeah.
there was real purpose to it other than, oh, I probably should just make sure that my upper body, because at that point when I first was running, I was not swimming. I mean, I swim a lot now, so I get
Hmm.
like just some automatic upper body strength work in
Hmm.
many times a week.
Yeah. I would say with the triathlon stuff, you probably just run out of hours in the day between trying to cover all your bases and
Yeah,
kids
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. So if if you bike hard and you bike some low gear work, that's going to be leg strength work, and then swimming is going to be some upper body where I do still I do some very deliberate lifting as well, but that's probably less for triathlon and more for high rocks.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's so amazing some of the things that we kind of understand now. I only think it's been the last, oh my gosh, maybe 3 or 4 years that we've been talking about energy availability and reds,
Yes.
and then crossing it over and pulling it into our pregnant and postpartum population with our lactating women. And we still don't even know what the energy expenditure of breastfeeding is. And I think we still had so many pros and Olympians share stories of trying to come back too quick because they weren't getting paid. I know in Kara Goucher's book, she talks about that quite a bit. And having these women have these bone stress injuries that probably was related to overtraining and
Right.
underfueling. And I feel like we know so much more about that. If we shift forward to kind of the stage right before where you are now, when I almost feel like it was a similar thing in perimenopause and maybe a little less in menopause. Um, did you have any sense as you're kind of going through these life stages about training changes or things to pay attention to? Like how did that shift happen, or you just kind of kept moving?
Yeah, I don't I mean, I'm 55, so I'm through menopause, I guess, or I don't know, whatever the right
Congrats,
yeah.
either way.
I don't know. It's all been in the last year pretty much. So
Yeah.
I I didn't know what to attribute my feelings too. I mean, one, there's so much more attention to it. I don't remember hearing anything about this when I was growing up,
No.
or
No, 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 no,
even in
no.
my 30s and 40s. I really feel like it's been in the past 5 years, maybe, or at least that
Yeah.
I've become aware of it. And so, I mean, certainly I've had a lot of the typical things like waking up all sweaty and sleeping disrupted, and but I've never really known what to attribute things to, because I also the training kind of messes can make
Yeah.
you feel great at times and make you feel terrible at times. So yeah, I don't know, just trying to navigate it all.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, I started into perimenopause 2 years ago. I'll be 50 in June. Um, I mean, we maybe got like a paragraph on perimenopause and menopause in my board certification. It really wasn't that much. And now
Okay.
I feel like we're drinking from the fire hose.
Yeah.
Um, but the interesting thing I see is maybe women that are a little bit older than us, so maybe they're in their late 50s, early 60s, did a lot of uh, running, did a lot of triathlon, probably more so running. And then their bodies just are like, no, we're not doing this anymore. And I see a lot of women shifting over to like gravel racing or biking or things like that. And just like, no, I can't run anymore. And it makes me a little
Mm.
bit sad because I feel like had they maybe had the information that we have now about, cross training or lifting or fueling or things like that, could that have impacted longevity? I mean, are you seeing that with any peers that are ahead of you that are kind of stepping out of running?
Most of my running friends are younger. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm like the old lady in my various,
Oh,
yeah, yeah, no, I definitely am. I'm the oldest in my running. And then my little swim group is multi-generational. Literally, the
yeah,
two of them could be my daughters. So yeah, I mean, you just sort of notice that, oh, I don't see this person's name anymore in
mm,
the rankings, or
yeah,
and same with triathlon too. I guess I just think, one, I've been really fortunate. I mean, I haven't had
yeah,
any kind of chronic injuries. I mean, I don't have,
yeah,
my knees are good, my feet are good. Actually, pretty much everything is good. So I don't have anything that's nagging that has steered me away from continuing to compete. I'm
hmm,
fortunate on that front. I mean, fortunate, plus I've also really, really worked at it. So it's not like I just wake up and I'm always feeling great. I spend a lot of time training, and probably all the things that
yeah,
I've done over the years has, I guess, prepared me for this time. Um, but I also prioritize it. So I think for some
yeah,
people, just priorities shift and they don't want to race anymore. They don't running was good for a time and maybe it doesn't feel as great, or they don't like that their times are slowing down, so they shift to gravel riding or yoga or Pilates or something else because that's what makes them feel good. For me, a lot of my motivation is competition. I like trying to do my best, and some of that it ends up being, well, I'm comparing, not comparing, but it's relative to myself. It's also about staying in it, and
hmm.
while the attrition is happening for others, I'm still here.
Yeah, you are. No, I mean, do you run through some comparison? Like, I mean, you said you just did cherry blossom. I'm sure you've done cherry blossom more than once. Looking back at past times, do you find yourself, playing the comparison game, or is it, hey, this is where I am now. I'm still killing it for where I'm at. I'm healthy, I'm feeling good, and everything is kind of a new day moving forward? Like how is your brain processing this?
I definitely look back, and I just have accepted I'm just not going to be as fast as I was. It's just the reality. So again, I focus on
Yeah.
effort and that I'm able to push myself as hard as I did back then. It just the times were a little bit different. So I did some looking back actually for Cherry Blossom in particular, because I've done that race so many times. I probably have
Mhm.
done it like 15 times. And I'm really proud of myself, honestly, for the last 5 years. I've done 5 or 6 years. I've done five cherry blossoms, two Army 10 milers, and one, it was the GW 10 miler. Now I think it's the Alexandria
It's a
half.
half now. Yeah.
I've been within like a minute and 20 seconds of myself for every single one of those races. So, and this one that I did this past 2 weeks ago was actually faster. So it was on the faster end of those in my last 6 years. So I'm really hanging on to this consistency thing right now. So
No, I
yeah.
love that. I mean, it sounds like you're having consistent results. If you go back and look at kind of your training, it sounds like obviously it's been a huge priority. What does a training week look like for you on average?
Yeah. So first of all, I think I'm incredibly consistent, and that's probably what has how I've been able to maintain. I mean, I've done sort of 30 plus years or whatever of consistent training with brief blips for pregnancy and birth, but those really didn't they were very short-lived. And so my even my weekly training probably hasn't changed that much. I mean, there's times like I've trained for Ironman, full distance Ironman where I was doing a lot of longer riding. That has changed. But a typical week for me now includes 3 runs. So track workout, tempo run, a long run, and then maybe another short run. So I end up somewhere like 35 to 40 miles of running a week. And
Hmm.
then I swim at least 3 times a week, so around 3,000 to 3,500 yards for swimming. And then I bike commute. So I bike everywhere, which leads me to end up riding like, I don't know, maybe 15 miles a day or so. I don't really
Hmm.
track that part. And and then I'll do a bike workout. Like this past weekend, I did a 3-hour ride on my trainer. In the summer, I'll shift and do some long gravel rides, and then I lift 3 or 4 times a week. So
Hmm.
depending on the day, it could be upper body focus, lower body, overall. And then Michael Wardian, my co-host on Aging Athletically, has got me to agree to do 100 burpees a day. So I've been doing that for the last month or so. I should look back to
Okay.
when I started it. So I'm doing that too.
I feel like that's when maybe it was Deslinden was talking about somebody had her do a burpee challenge or something, and there was a while she was trying to do it. And I don't even think she like does strength training or anything. She's
No.
just freaking amazing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't like burpees. I really we had in our workout this week, it was pull-up burpees where you do one pull-up and then a burpee and then keep
Okay.
repeating that. And yeah, I don't like those either.
I haven't done those. I do pull-ups. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I should try to
It
combine the
it
two.
It's hard. I'll still use a band assist for pull up, and so the logistics are a little bit harder to do that. I'm sure it's a lot easier if you can just hop up, do your pull up, drop down to the floor. But
Yeah.
it's a lot of up and down if anybody's looking for some fun, and it's type 2 fun. Um, I'm sure a lot of people are listening to the amount of hours that you put into your training and thinking, oh my God, I don't have that much time because
Yeah.
they're at different stages in their life. If you go back and think about, your training when your kids were little, did it look like that or did it look like something else?
Again, you're testing my memory here. I mean, I
Should
think
we ask your kids? They don't know either.
oh, yeah,
This is just what mom does.
no, they have lots of stories. They have lots of
Oh
stories.
dear.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I did a lot of pushing them in the stroller, going or in the jogger. My husband and I did a lot of tag teaming. I was probably I'm pretty efficient now. I was efficient then too. I mean, there are certain things that just go by out the window. Like my transition times are very fast. So they're fast in races and they are fast in life. It does not, if you tell me I have to be ready to go somewhere in 5 minutes, I'm ready. Like I just, there's no,
Yeah.
my facial routine and all that does not take a long time. My hair does not take a long time. So all those things go out the window. But I think probably the thing that has been with me my entire life, at least in DC, has been utilizing commutes. So that's either I ran Commute. I would be running Commute now. It just I don't need to. But running Commute, biking Commute, combining things as much as possible. So rather than doing 2 full separate workouts a day, I would just kind of do half and half and, bike to the track. I run to the track now. So really just a lot of combining and time saving. So when people say they don't have time, I mean, we all know you make time for the things that matter. And but when people talk about not having time because of like having to shower and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I can't relate to that. Like, or I can't bike commute because I'm going to be sweaty when I get to work. Well, I'm like, well, then you wear black. Like, there are just some easy things that you can do
You're the
that,
low maintenance
yeah,
queen. I mean,
definitely.
and I thought I was low maintenance. I think you're bringing the bar up. I
I'm
appreciate
very
that.
low maintenance. Yes.
When do you think you kind of really got that? Is that always kind of how you've been, and you're like, this is just how I roll, or do you feel like there was a certain point where you're like, if I want to do this, then this is how things need to be?
I mean, I've always done it because I even had to, when I was growing up, my parents had me bike to get places. So I'm always used to kind of
Mm,
moving and not being reliant on others all the time for things, or, on let's say, a bus, or, I'm relying on myself to get places. But
yeah,
I'm sure it was honed much more clearly when I had children, and there really were time constraints where if I was going to get this in, I had to learn to be much more efficient, and I had to take the commutes a little more seriously, and figure out that those were going to be the time that I got.
yeah. No, I find that there's moms that do this almost professionally, and I think you count as this. It's always like a couple of things, because there's a lot of things about you that are like very DC, and then the getting the commuting thing efficient. But I'm like, no, you had to learn that somewhere else before you came. And then, biking growing up, they're like, nah. Did you live in a town in Minnesota, or
I
in
lived
the
in
country?
Minneapolis, in the city. I mean, don't
Okay.
get me wrong. My parents drove me places, and I did have to take the bus sometimes, but I think I also did learn to be kind of more self-sufficient, or
Yeah.
had to walk to school or things like that, where just the movement part was natural.
Yeah. No, there's definitely some people that's definitely ingrained in them for a variety of different reasons, and other people are like, nope, that's just not how I can do
Yeah.
this. Oh my goodness. All right. What is maybe one thing, looking back on, kind of as your kids were growing up, even going into like middle school and high school and things like that, anything that you wish you had done differently as far as training goes, or, things like that?
I mean, I had a very serious eating disorder at the end of high school and through college. So where I lost a lot of weight, and I think there's, like you mentioned a little bit earlier, there's so much more information now about REDS and the kind of long-term damage that you can do to your body. And I really wish that I had understood that, because I set myself
Mm,
back in a lot of ways that I think, looking back, if I had had more information, I would have realized,
yeah.
I think. I mean, although when you have an eating disorder, like, your brain isn't really functioning correctly. But yeah, that's probably my biggest thing is just, and I think doctors didn't really understand it either. So I was like, oh, you're not getting your period. Okay, here, you can take, like, birth control. But
Right.
it's like, but no, like, naturally, it wasn't for a long time. So
Okay.
that would be my biggest look back
Yeah.
regret, I
Well, and
guess.
I feel like, again, just even in my space, there's so much more that I understand now. I mean, you're just, a couple years ahead of me. The 70s and the 80s, we the thin was fast.
Yeah.
We were, our moms were drinking tab and eating Snackwells. Like, that was very much the culture. And so when you go back and look at, oh, well, I wish I'd known that, everything around us told us that that's how we were supposed to be. So I think some of that, it's definitely what that culture was around. But when we look forward to, you were talking about the stress fractures in postpartum and lactation. That's one of the risk factors that we ask about now.
Yeah.
And then there was also, oh my gosh, I think it was an ultra running study looking at masters ultra runners, and if they had a history of eating disorders, and if it did return at some point. And again, running was very much one of those things, if we're not talking about fueling, and that's why I do love ultras. They talk about snacks all the time. All of this is it's such a continuum to kind of understand. This is, how we were brought into sport, and understanding our bodies and fueling our bodies, and all of that, and how that thread can continue on forward. How has that kind of made you look different at these menopausal years where everybody's, concerned about bone density, and running is not the best way to build bone, which a lot of people don't realize.
Oh, well, that's a little bit of news to me.
Oh,
So,
no, it's right up there with
okay.
swimming. It's not
Okay.
great.
It's not great. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
my bone density is good, so that's a good
Good. I'm
thing.
glad. I'm very glad
Yes.
about that.
I do get it tested.
Good.
But sounds like I've got some learning to do too. I mean, I probably don't consume as much information as there is out there, partially because it's a bit overwhelming with all
Oh,
the
yeah,
different things that are available.
absolutely.
But I do really appreciate, now raising a 26-year-old extremely competitive runner, female. I really appreciate that the trend is different now, and that there is a lot of
Yeah.
focus on strength and fueling, and just hope that she's
Hmm.
going to have longevity in the sport like I have, without the major glitches that I had along the way. So I don't know if that got to your question, but
Yeah.
I
No,
probably
I,
need to
I
do some
mean,
more reading.
no, it's one of those things. Again, the fact that you did strength training, these other things that you were doing, probably all of that stuff. And again, we're still trying to understand how much is genetics, how much is, our past medical history and our activity, that we're still trying to pull all that stuff together. But yeah, I mean, having kids that you want to have a better experience than you feel like you had, or to know more, what are some of the things that you're really, as you watch them go up through their athletic careers and now as young adults, what are some things that you're really drilling home to them?
More the mental stuff, I think, than the
Mm,
physical, honestly. My daughter is a competitive runner. Our My oldest son, he runs as well. He's run a marathon. He competes in different types of sports, and then our youngest is a competitive college golfer. So there's a lot of mental stuff in all of these things, and just trying to have perspective. And so I think
mm-hmm.
sometimes, because I've been competitive for a long time, I don't realize hadn't really fully appreciated that when I come home from a race, it's like, did you win? I mean, that's just been the
Mm,
what they've been exposed to, and so trying to
right.
make sure that we as a family are just appreciating being able to do sports, but also that
Mm-hmm.
let having perspective on that. So I think we
Yeah.
worked pretty hard at that.
Did your kids do sports when they were growing up, or?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess if they had expressed interest in something else, maybe we would have figured out how to have them try it, but it's like it
Yeah.
wasn't natural. For my husband played lacrosse in college, and he was a competitive
Okay.
runner, and he runs ultra marathons now, so that's just where we've gravitated, obviously. And none of them, at least, were aware that they had interest in music or art or
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, they all followed suit.
What did they do, the sports just like you and your husband, or what sports did they do when they were
They
in
had their
like
own.
high school?
They took their own paths, I would say.
Okay.
Our daughter raced triathlon for a long time and was a very competitive swimmer. Unfortunately, had a really bad shoulder injury that had her
Mm,
shift. But running is her strength, and so she ran Division 1 college and then is competing now. And then our older son, played lacrosse growing up. He didn't end up competing in college, but sports super important to him.
mm-hmm.
And then our youngest picked this golf path, which is totally different actually than either my husband or me. But there's some golf in my family, so like there's some genetic predisposition to golf, and
Mm-hmm.
I've learned to appreciate it in ways I would have never imagined. It's really intense. Just
Yeah.
the mental fortitude of that sport is something else. So,
Yeah. Now,
uh,
have you learned how to play? Do you go play with him, or no?
no, I love watching it. It's really a
Okay.
great. I don't know how many of your listeners are parents, but it's a really great sport for kids because
Yeah.
they learn so many skills. I mean, social skills, because a lot of times you're playing with older people. It just and you can't have your phone for extensive periods of time.
Right.
So, and as a fan, I mean, it's intense. It depends on what kind of a quote sports parent you are. I am very hands off, very much like, this is a little ball going into a hole down the field, down the fairway. Like, let's
Yeah.
have perspective here. But as a parent, it's your kid's playing the entire time. So for these very long
Yeah.
rounds, they're always playing. You're outside. You have to put your own phone away. So I really love watching it as a parent.
Yeah. How fun is it to be a fan of a new sport?
It's fun. Yeah, it's I like I said, I've developed a great appreciation for the sport, which I never really thought. I kind of would have been one of those people to say, well, it's not really a sport. I mean, if you can wear a belt while you're playing it, it just doesn't count.
Yeah.
But I understand that full swing is like a full swing is a huge it's a
Yeah.
real athletic effort, and then
Yeah.
the mental stuff.
The core and the like the trunk range of motion I
Yeah.
think is huge, and I think that's where there's a ton of carryover to running. I picked it up. Oh gosh, my I think my husband and I were dating. It's the best gift he's ever given me. He was working a lot at the time on a campaign, as one does in DC, and he got me golf lessons over at Haynes Point in like
Okay.
November, and it was
Nice.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And now our kids play, and that's just a fun thing for us to do. And once you get past those like early toddler, elementary school years with my daughter where she's, it doesn't work, and then or her SpongeBob SquarePants ball ends up in the bushes and you can't find it. Like those are
Yeah.
like
Ugh.
bad times, but
That
like I
sounds
think we're
like
doing better now.
Yeah, that sounds like definite meltdown ready to happen right there,
Yeah.
that one ball.
But snacks fix everything,
Yeah.
and for my son, getting to drive the golf cart
Yeah.
is pretty epic. So there's some highlights in there too. That's amazing. All right, so tell us about this podcast. How did you come to number one, want to do a podcast, and two, with Michael Wardian?
Yeah, so I've had this idea for the podcast for a long time. And so it's called Aging Athletically. And I guess it spurred from just believing that there were people who felt the same way as I do about athletics and sports, that wanting to continue to be competitive. So recognizing that there are a lot of podcasts out there that are about aging and wellness and well-being, but not so much focused on people who are kind of still challenging themselves in ways, competitive ways. So I had this idea for a long time. I prefer to do things in partnership with someone else. I just like it. I like having someone to throw ideas off of. So it took me a while to find a co-host. And yeah, I mean, we've known Michael, my husband and I have known Michael Wardian for a long time. They met at my husband and he were both racing JFK 50 miler many, many years ago. I think it was Michael's first and my husband's first or second. And so I've always followed his career and known each other because we've been in the running scene for such a long time. And he agreed to do it. So that's how we got there. And we're having fun interviewing other older athletes who are still at it, either in a professional realm or just an amateur, competing in an amateur level.
Where do you find time to do this? Because I know literally this last weekend it looked like he was doing like a team ultra run for MedStar, and then immediately went to Boston, just ran Boston. Like where do
Yeah.
you find time between like here and he's like running in Antarctica? Like
Yeah. Yeah. So I have more time than he does, and so we kind of try to work around his availability, and I do more of the legwork, like with the division of responsibility is as I mean, I'm the one, it was my idea, so I'm
I
taking
got
on
it.
a lot of the organizational stuff, which is something that I like doing. So it's all fine, but you're right, trying to squeeze things in between extreme adventures that he's doing.
Which are also very cool, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wanted, I said this to you before we press record, but my podcast editor, Laura, she is a huge, huge fan. And so occasionally, and again, he probably has no idea who I am. We live in a similar neighborhood, I think. I think our kids went to the same preschool, but very different ages. And if I run past him, I'll message her. I'm like, I saw him. And she gets super excited.
Yeah.
So big fangirl. But what is a conversation that you guys find yourself having, that you think is really important that's not happening other places?
I think probably some of the mindset pieces, like what is it that's still driving you to compete like this? Because you could just, I don't know, take it easier. So just trying to understand what is motivating to people. Is it competition with themselves? Is it being the oldest person who races a certain time? Is it just setting a goal and trying to achieve it? So just understanding the different motivations that people have, which I think can be inspirational to others. Like, oh, I hadn't thought about doing a race for that reason. I hadn't thought about, trying to get within 10 minutes of the time that I ran 20. You know what I mean? Like, so different reasons why people would maybe want to compete.
Yeah. Do you find it interesting? Because I know sometimes, like in my head, I still feel like I'm in my 20s or
Yeah.
something like that. Do you find it interesting to know that you have an aging podcast? Like to me, like I don't look at you and I don't think that. And I'm like, why? But yet here we are. Like I'm knocking on 50 and I'm like, no, but I don't feel 50.
Oh my gosh.
I'm practicing saying it.
Yes, no, I love that because I definitely don't feel 55. I
No
mean,
way.
I feel like maybe 30 at this point, but I'm very deceived about a lot of things. Like, I think I'm really tall. And so I'm always like, oh, that person's the same size as me. And my family's like, they're like 5'10 and I'm barely 5'3. So I just think that I am a certain way and I don't actually come across that way. So and this it really hit me when I was doing a Hyrox race a couple of months ago, and this woman came up to me afterwards and she was all gray hair, to me, I looked at her, I was like, she looks like she's 55 or 60. And she came up
Hmm.
to me and she's like, I think we're the only ones in our age group. And I was like, well, wait, you think that I'm the same age as you? Wait, I thought you would think I was like 30. So just realizing that the way that I looked
Right.
now, actually, I kind of do look my age. So I think it's good to have the wrong internal thing rather than the other way around, because I'm going to keep
I
thinking of myself
understand
this way.
this. Yeah, no, I understand this. Yeah, so let's skip ahead to Hyrox. You brought it up. The allure obviously I think is so interesting. It's such a great business model because you're pulling in people from running. You're pulling in people, and the running people are going to think the strength stuff is hard, and the CrossFit people are going to think the running is hard. And meanwhile, you've now made a crap load of money and pulled this in, and you've got your patches, and you've got the world championships and all this stuff. Like the thing that I don't care for, it's all indoors. I
Yeah,
half of working out for me, I love being outdoors. And then when you're in the what is where do you guys compete when you're in
in a
DC? In
convention
the
center. Yeah, they're all
is
in
it the convention
convention
center or is
centers.
it
Yeah.
the army whatever?
No, it's the convention center
Okay.
downtown.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
just like that's not inspirational to me. But
Yeah.
tell me about your experience. Like, what was your first high rocks like? And then tell us, because you're kind of good. So tell us, and again, don't be humble here. You got to give us the stats. Like,
Oh,
tell us about your
okay.
first high rocks, and then kind of where you might be ranked as a top American in your age group.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Talking about times and stuff is not one of my well, not one of my
We don't have to
strengths,
talk
but
about times. We can just
okay.
talk about where you rank. We
Yeah.
can just do that.
Yeah, so my first one was a couple of years ago. I think it would have been maybe 2024. I actually I don't remember, but it was in DC
Hmm.
and I don't know how I came across it. Maybe I saw something online and yeah, just got intrigued. Was very intimidated by the weight parts of it. But I think at that
Hmm.
point it had been, it was somewhat after COVID. I had sort of lost my desire around triathlon. It's very logistically challenging. You've got to
Yeah.
lug a bunch of stuff and there aren't any races that are right outside my door. There's so much planning that goes into it. So I was sort of intrigued by okay, you're just wearing your running shoes and I hear you on the inside part of it. I mean, it's even crazier than you think it is when you I mean, it looks crazy online, but when you're there, it's like, whoa, it's very
Yeah.
loud but yeah, I just was looking for a new challenge, I think is the bottom line. And it does cater to runners. I mean, because you're spending I mean, depending on how good you are at the stations, you're spending half your time running it, maybe more, maybe less. And yeah, so just was interested in the challenge and did some classes in DC. I found a gym called Elevate DC, which had
Hmm.
some high rock specific classes just to make sure that I knew what I was doing in terms of the stations. And yeah, so I've done maybe 10 or so, something like that. And and like I said, there are two different weight classes. So there's open, it's called women open or pro, and the pro weights are significantly heavier. So,
Mhm.
uh, and I've done a bunch of pro weights. You have to do pro weights at the world championships. And yes, I've qualified for world championships. I'm not going to go this year. Uh, and I do have, I think, the fastest American time for my age group this in the last 2 years or so, and I'm trying to lower that a little bit. I'm going to do a race in a couple weeks. So
Okay.
I think partially it hasn't been fully discovered because I'm sure there are people out there who can do as well as I'm doing and as others are doing. They just haven't found it yet. So I'm at the
Yeah.
the opening part of the sport.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's kind of brought new life to things. I started CrossFit, it's probably about 10 years ago, and then switched gyms from an affiliate to now I work out at the conditioning room in Clarence, or I guess it's in Courthouse, and they've started doing, they've got the Hyrox flag and they've got their Hyrox classes and things like that, and it brings new life when people can try new things. Which station do you love the most, and which one is maybe something that we need to get more love for?
I actually like all of them. There's not one where I'm like, oh, this is so terrible. I mean, the wall balls, which is the last station, you're very tired at that point, is really hard in the heavier weights. Like that is really hard to get full
How
range of motion.
heavy how heavy
Um,
is the one you're
it's 13 pound, like it's six
Okay.
kilograms. So
Hmm.
it's fine when you're just doing regular training, but at that point you're pretty
At
tired.
that
So
point, yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's been interesting to see which stations I excel at. Like, my strongest station is the erg, which just the regular erg, like rowing erg, and I don't really train that at all. But it's
Hmm.
just, I think it's just all the endurance work I've done for so long and the leg strength that I've gotten through biking. So that's my strongest station. My other strong station is farmer's carry, which is
Hmm.
quite heavy. So in the pro weights, I'm basically carrying my body weight. It's like they're 53 pound kettlebells for the pro
Decent, yeah.
weights. But for whatever reason, my grip strength is pretty good. So I can hang on to those. Uh, I'm trying to think. I really struggled on the sled pull when I first
Mm.
started, and I think I've figured out some techniques for that. I guess I'm going through all of them.
Yeah.
I like the sled push a lot. And
Hmm.
again, I think that's just strength built from running because it's quite like the pro weights is quite heavy. It's like 330 pounds, I think, for the sled
Hmm.
push, um, which is a lot, but I mean, I'm able to get through it. And then of course, I mean, having such a long-term running background, that's where I'm making up the most time. So
Yeah.
particularly with the heavier weights, I'm excelling in the running and because it takes up a lot of time, it helps overall.
Yeah. And isn't there's a weird jump thing. What is that?
Oh, the burpee broad jump. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's like you're doing a burpee, but they're kind of weird ones. Like as opposed to like when I do burpees on my own, I do full burpees. So I'm
Hmm.
jumping back, I do a full push up, I could jump forward. These you like flop onto your stomach and then bring your legs up and jump forward. It's kind of hard to picture, but it's all about forward motion. So you're flopping
Yep.
down and then you bring your legs up and then you jump forward and there are a bunch of rules on how far your hands can be in front and I don't have great flexibility, so had to work to make sure that I can get my hands down within a foot of my feet. But that one I would say is a strong station for me. It's one that people really, really don't like. I kind of look forward to it because it's again, to me it's an endurance, and
Yeah.
I've got a lot of endurance in my history. So that one just
Yeah.
feels like a cardiovascular challenge. Your heart rate's
Hmm.
high, but I'm kind of used to that.
Yeah. Now, do you go full send on the runs, and then you have the lifting people just cursing you as you run by, or?
I do tend to pass people on the runs. I would say that. Uh, but you got to moderate these things. You're running 1,000 meters, like a K, and the total mileage is a little bit over 8K. So it's a lot of
Hmm.
running. I'm probably running my 10K to 10 mile pace during the
Hmm.
runs.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one thing I can never get over is anybody who is not a runner and they come from a lifting space or something like that. They complain
Yeah.
so much about running.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny? I did oh my gosh, this was I guess back in March. I did rock and roll half and I was walking to kind of the start area and these group of women were in front of me and this one girl had these alpha flies on and they're carbon running shoes for people who don't know and they were squeaking and so we just stopped and talked for a second. She's like, I wore these to Hyrox. It was like right after the DC Hyrox. I'm like, why in God's name would you wear alpha flies to a Hyrox event? It makes no sense to me whatsoever. But I don't know, maybe she was trying to make gains on the run. I don't know. What's your shoe of choice when you do Hyrox?
I do wear carbon plated shoes. I don't
Okay.
wear Nike Alpha Flies because those are too wobbly. So, because you
Yeah.
really do need stability on the
Mm-hmm.
floor part. So I
Right.
wear Puma Deviate Elite
Okay.
something. They're not the Hyrox branded ones, but they have a little bit more of a tread on the bottom, and then
Okay.
they just don't feel wobbly. To me, I mean, I've done some road races in the Nike ones, and they just, they don't feel very stable.
Yeah, what's your running training shoe of choice right now?
I wear Hoka Clifton is
Okay.
my just regular training shoe, and then in in races, I either wear the Hoka, whatever their carbon plate one is. I can't remember. I'm not
Hmm.
really a shoe person. Whatever their racing one is, their carbon plated one, or a different Puma racing,
Okay.
something.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not good on the
whatever feels good.
details.
It's
Yeah.
totally fine. And it's if it's something that you've loved for a long time, you're like, I don't know what it is. I know where to get it. My next question is, when are we going to see Mike Wardian in Tivas in a High Rocks event? And when are you guys going to double up?
Yeah, well, man, it'd be a struggle to keep up with him on the run, but I don't know. I think I could take him on some of the stations. I think he's a bit intimidated by the weight parts.
Hmm.
For men, the regular weights for men are the same as the pro women weights. He had
Hmm.
planned to do one a year or two ago, and then something happened with logistics, like he couldn't
Yeah.
partner up with somebody to do it. So I can see him doing the open one. I think it'd be hard for him to do the men's pro weights. Honestly,
Yeah.
it'd be a lot for him. Because his strength
I
training is really different than mine. It's much more small muscle
yeah.
mobility, whereas I mean, I I'm like, ooh, I lift. I'm like, wait, I'm doing like 40 pound in each hand when I sit on a bench and do bench press myself. Like that
Yeah.
doesn't look that
Yeah.
much
No,
weight.
he shares a lot of his trainer shares a lot on social of their workouts and it's all
Yeah.
this cool little intricate stuff,
Yes.
which is so amazing that like even with as gifted as both of you guys are, like people still have things that they have to work on, which like I think that's just it's a humbling fact for all of us, which is great. You're people
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right, as we wrap up here, because this is the Active Mom podcast, what's the favorite thing that you have done as an active mom that you don't think that you could have planned? So, kind of thinking back on these years, what's something that you had no idea was in front of you?
I mean, Hyrox for sure. That would have never crossed my mind about doing a competition that
Hmm.
involved the weight part because I think of myself as an endurance athlete, just you could hang on or you can maintain pace for a long time. So to be doing something where I'm really testing myself strength wise and efficiency with moving things, I would have never pictured that. And I think it's a bit intimidating just because of my size, which I've dealt with, even though like I said, I think that I'm 5'10" and I'm actually not. I do recognize that like I'll see pictures, I'm like, oh boy, I do look really small compared to the people that I'm competing against. But so that was intimidating in the front, but when I first started, but now I kind of feel like hopefully it's also opening up other people's minds. You do not have to have been a competitive CrossFit
Yeah.
athlete to be able to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do love that crossover. I know this is all new with Hyrox. Anything else that you're thinking of trying new? Is Mike going to bring you over to pickleball?
I do like pickleball, and because the tennis was my
I
first sport,
I
so
was going to
I
say,
have
yeah.
honestly, I've got pretty good hand-eye coordination, and I do love smashing things. So pickleball is cool. I I really think that at this point in my life, if I were to try something new, I would want to try something that challenged me in like that I don't think I could be good at because I think I do, even though I've, branched out and done high rocks, I've gone down these paths which I kind of feel like I'm going to be successful at, and I think that's something I want to challenge myself on. Maybe I should do some golf because I don't think I'm very would be very good at it. Maybe I should try a different sport, or maybe it's not sport, maybe it's just something else where I don't kind of know that I'm going to be good at it or decent at it. I don't mean to be saying I'm great at everything. So I don't know
Yeah.
what that means at this point.
I like that. But again, you never would have known Hyrox was a thing because we weren't thinking about it and it wasn't a thing not that long ago.
Yeah,
Um, if people want to know more about the podcast, tell us the name again and where we can find it.
sure. It's called Aging Athletically, and we're on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Overcast, wherever you can get, the feeds from there. And then we do post a lot on Instagram at Aging Athletically, and then we just started putting some stuff up on YouTube. So
Awesome.
all those
And then
ways.
if you're in the DC area and want to check out your track club,
Yeah.
where's the best way to get in touch with you there and find your group?
Yeah, so I do have an Instagram page for the track workout too. That's at TrackPackDC, but you can also just show up. It's a free track workout at Banneker Track, 5:45 a.m. every Wednesday morning. The only time that we don't do it is when there's ice on the track. But other than that, at least I'll be there. And
I,
usually at least one or two other people.
so you had an interesting winter with Snowcrete.
We did. Yeah, we did have to cancel a couple for snow, but or ice. It's real ice is the issue.
Yeah, no, it was quite a year if you're in the DC area and everything was just frozen solid. It probably much like Minnesota.
Yeah. I don't run on treadmills, so if it's I'm either running outside or I'm not running at all. So I'll run in
Yeah.
pretty much anything.
Yeah, no, me too. Me too. Well, thank you, Hillary, for joining me and kind of spearheading this, local women in the DMV area. If you guys want to check out the podcast with Hillary, she's over with Michael Wardian, Aging Athletically. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for sharing your story. You probably didn't think you'd ever, be chatting on a mom podcast about this, but thanks again for joining me.
Yeah, it was fun. I love that you're doing this and just keeping the information going to people who are active and parenting and all of that.
Love it. Thanks again.
If you're navigating pregnancy, postpartum, or perimenopause, whether personally or professionally, check out all our free resources and upcoming courses at carriepagliano.com. This podcast reflects the opinions of Dr. Carrie Pagliano and her guests, and it is for entertainment purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider with any medical questions. If you enjoyed the episode, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. And thanks for listening.